Alright guys, so we're going to be watching some training from professors Ethan and Rozzy. Fun to see them start from the feet. Ethan does a good job climbing the rope there to get that hand on the collar, and Rozzy's able to get her grips a bit later and pulls guard looking for that inverted De La Hiva. She was pretty aggressive earlier having that underhook, and then he was countering by bringing his knees together, so she has to switch to the outside and get into some De La X here. So you can see Ethan's protecting that far sleeve, uses it to stand up and make space, so that's going to take out her hooks, and then she smartly puts that shin in for some shin to shin. But just to go back a little bit to this deep De La X, so this is a situation we talk about a little bit. Sometimes we get to the De La X here, and we have a hard time controlling that guy's sleeve. So what we talk about doing a lot is switching. So instead of attacking so much at that arm, using this arm to grab that that collar there. So just to be clear on the grip, here's JT showing how if you can't get the sleeve, you're going to reach underneath and then control that inside collar. From there, you're just going to be making that guy post and then standing in base basically and pulling him down. So the match for this got famous, I believe, is the match with Nicholas Miragali beating Leandro Lo, who's one of the best. So here you see Miragali on bottom, trying to get that sleeve control, but he can't, and even despite Leandro Lo having a deep underhook, he's still able to come up in base and get his 2 points there. So, but we're back in. So again, we were back playing some shin to shin when we left off here. So there, Rozzy bailed on the shin to shin, just trying to come up and sort of stand in base, which can be tough. So when she feels that pressure, she goes back to that hook and is now into a reverse X guard and is able to put Ethan down, but Ethan doesn't panic there, and you can see going back just a little bit, like right now, like Rozzy's in a really good position to come up, but Ethan's able to stop that by controlling that pant, stripping the butterfly hook with a little bit of a back step, and now he's going to gain the inside space and really a good passing situation there. So Rozzy's not bailing on that leg control. We talk about that if the guy backsteps versus a single leg X guard. Our safety blanket is actually in the leg control. So some nice retention there. Back into some deep De La Hiva, and you're going to see this is sort of a constant throughout this. Is Rozzy's spinning for putting hips on the mat with a berimbolo situation, but Ethan's really doing a good job controlling the knee line to prevent that attack. So let's look at that just one more time here. So Rozzy's able to get hips on the mat, but it's not as advantageous as you'd think because of Ethan's knee position being more to the outside, and this leg is sort of wide. He's underhooking that, controlling the hips pretty well. And then as Rozzy decides to bail and try to come up on a single leg, Ethan's able to get an underhook. So he's underneath that arm. So despite her having, the higher hips and being on top, he's in a pretty darn good position to get back on top now. A little bit of protecting your partner there. Foot was like in an awkward position, and here he's in a really dominant position. I believe he has a nice shin staple, and he's able to use that to good advantage to pass. That's actually one of my favorite sequences here, just because it's something we talk about, but it's just a nice example of how to get that back take, or how to expose someone's back, I guess would be a better example. But so we had a really good passing situation here. He just passed. He's got a deep cross face, shoulder pressure, nice and low. And he's basically in a great pinning situation, right? So even though, he's not there a long time, it's enough, and now he can chase that arm a little bit with the Kimura, but if he wants the back, because he's had so much pressure, just by taking the pressure off and moving his hips back a little bit, this is going to give a lot of encouragement for someone to turtle, right? Like he had the cross face, he was looking for the arm, like it sort of puts that like, if you stay here, it's going to be bad. So I'm going to, give you a little bit of an out and see what you do. And it's going to be, a predictable scramble. And that's how you're going to expose the back. So a bit of a long step around the head. And he's looking, for the back there. To a nicer place, and nice transition from the spider to some collar sleeve, playing some offside De La Hiva, continuing to use that deep De La Hiva hook. A little bit of a funny grip. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Maybe some options to use. Just possibly trying to get that shin behind the knee is sort of a leg drag baby bolo variation. But it's going to be hard, with Ethan controlling the knee line so well for her to come up. But, this time, like, she was able to get the underhook, so when she, comes up here to try to get on top, and he makes his way on top, she's got a better situation than she had when he had the underhook. And so now she's playing some butterfly. So just fun to see all the different guards that are getting played. We've had, anything from single leg X, reverse X. We've had a couple different De La Hivas, the De La X. So fun to see. So there we have that stand and base situation we were talking about before, with Miragale and all that, and she's able to get the sweep. Now she's in a great passing situation. And that actually is a position I really, like, something you guys may not see as much is sort of this. It's like De La Hiva, like this outside leg De La Hiva, but he's got the grip on the knee. I really like to attack from there. Shanji really likes to attack from there. Popolo as well, where we use that to set up the single leg X guard. But you can also switch back to the ankle. Razi doing a good job of breaking grips, and then Ethan uses that opportunity to start playing some lapel guard. So now he's in a bit of a worm or he's moving to a worm guard, but his right foot's still stuck in headquarters here for a bit. But I believe that's gonna pop out here in a second, and now we're in like basically like a deep De La Hiva. And usually when we have the worm on the deep De La Hiva, we like to have our foot not in De La X, surprisingly. Like the lapel does a good enough job for us here, and you'll see this on that sweep that both his feet are out. It's like a little Tomonagi there, and gets on top, and then is immediately protecting against the knee bar, because Razi likes to go for that knee bar quite a bit, so you can see how his foot is protecting against that. So, but it's a nice threat, and it still makes some space. So now we're back in some pressure passing situations. He's pulling that foot across, a nice leg drag situation there, and Razi has pretty crazy spinal flexibility to be able to fold in half like that to prevent the guard pass. A little inversion, squares back up, and we're back to square one here. So Razi's using that sit-up guard, and just as a point for, I got asked this question a couple times on like the one-on-one lessons, is like how should you be sitting in guard. And I think a big thing that people miss is how much forward lean you need. Like you need your head in front of your hips, right? Like if your head is here, or if it's back here, you're just not going to be mobile. You're going to be easily shoved to your back. So if you guys are going to play any type of sit-up guard for your starting guards here, you guys need to have that like forward lean. I know it's not always the easiest, but you guys got to make that happen if that's what you're going to play. So Ethan stepped in, and we're back to sort of a single leg situation. Razi looking for the lapel, the far leg. Now I believe she put her shin in front there. So that's a nice leg drag counter to, you know, this sort of sit-up position. So you can see right now, so she's got the single leg, and she has a lapel, and she's going to put her foot on the thigh there. So it's very, you know, common. A lot of times we do that when we have the sleeve control, and then we're trying to trip that person over the foot. But because his sleeve is not, you know, she's just starting to get that grip, so it's not fully controlled, he's able to use his hips to lift that up even more, and then guide that across. So it's something you guys got to be a little careful of, and it's a good counter. So so now she has a little bit better far sleeve control. She's able to break that grip and throw in the lasso. And that's just something, if you guys are going to play spider guard, you guys could always be breaking the grip like that. And so now she's playing like a lasso de la Hiva, and then she takes out the lasso to go for a baby bolo, but Ethan's able to backstep. So it's a nice sequence there. So she's gonna sort of go like she's making the angle there on that de la Hiva, and then she takes out the lasso and puts like a little butterfly hook in, and she's trying to take the back from there. But Ethan's gonna prevent that by as the other berimbolo counters, he's trying to open that knee up and get his hips down, and then he can step over into a nice smash pass, and she's getting up on her elbow to counter. So one thing that, you know, there has been a ton of berimbolo stuff already this roll. One thing to look at is how, like, Mikey Musumeci attacks his berimbolo from the De La Hiva lasso. I think it's one of my favorite ways to teach people to do it.
I'm in the berimbolo position. When I get to the
so he has the lasso and the De La Hiva, and you can see him lift, and he gets a ton of elevation here. And then
now that I flipped him over my head, I'm in the berimbolo.
Like, there's usually like not too much weight, so he's easily able to make a grip change.
When I get to the berimbolo position, get my foot down, grab the far leg, over. I'm gonna lift up. I'm gonna put my shin behind his leg. Now I'm gonna.
So, anyway, that's a really nice way to do it, is from the De La Hiva, get some elevation, pull them on top of you, and then from here he can almost make those grip changes in midair. So anyway, back to the training there. And then, man, so notice also on this pass there how Ethan's using that, how Ethan was able to switch. Like, he got into a good pass situation. Rosie's coming up on her elbow. He made the grip change to the pant, and that's going to stop a lot of the flexibility, you know, that Rosie has. So, you know, it's a good way to neutralize like active guards. You see Jean used that low pant grip a lot, and now Rosie's looking to turn in, and Ethan's using it to set up that exposure for the back. So, and now we're back to a open guard situation here. So a little bit of a lapel single, back to the shin to shin, you see, and now you see like Ethan's countering that by dropping his knee down, and that's something we see a lot when we're playing shin to shin. And I don't think you can see it, but Ethan's looking for an underhook at the same time here. So at this point, because his knee's dropping, this is when you guys, you know, could, you know, put on a foot on the hip to shoot the triangle, get back to close guard. Sometimes you're also able to attack this arm that's this hidden right now. But since he's going for an underhook, sometimes that'll be available for like an omoplata armbar attempt. But Rosie's trying to get up on it, and Ethan's staying strong with that underhook, and then he's able to use that sleeve to spin her down back to her back. And now he's got a pretty darn good passing situation because that underhook, a little bit of pummeling here, and now we're into this back step pass. So he's got good head control. So you see, it was just a reverse half guard position. So he's trying to back his hips, trying to shrimp towards that elbow, use his foot and clear, and then he's able to get the pass, all with really good head control there. Rosie's squaring back up. And notice on that how the good wrist control. Like if you guys have to turtle, One of the things you're always looking for is to control wrists. So right here, she's using two hands on the near wrist. Like either hand is great to control, stops people from getting the seatbelt, and then you can either roll them through, or in this case, if you control the near one, you're usually sitting back to guard. So really good example of that. Going back to this situation, so it was sort of interesting because usually like Ethan had the underhook, she starts to pummel, and he was sort of backstepping. But this situation is very common. Like if someone has an underhook, a lot of times people backstep to counter it. So you can see Razi's arm is under here. There's a lot of different ways to counter this, a lot of fun ways to counter. I think something really simple is when you can just lock your hands around the person's neck here and squeeze and then bridge into them. Man, I scoured the internet. It's one of my favorite sweeps. Marcelo Garcia uses it a lot, and Faria uses it. Just to give an example, the hand position, because I think this is what Faria usually does. He's showing a variation, but this is sort of how you would lock your hands there. That's quite a bit of searching to find.
By both hands over there.
Basically, take a grip like that, and you can squeeze and then bridge into them. But it's not what he's showing in this video. So anyway, that would be an option from that type of position. Something I use a lot. It might be harder with, with this much size difference, but something I've hit. It's saved my butt quite a few times there. So where were we? So he just passed, and then I think she did the turtle replace and back into a pretty darn good open, sort of a close guard, open guard situation there. Back to close guard for a brief little time using the lapel. Always a good idea. Sort of supercharges your guard anytime you can, your close guard anytime you can feed the lapel. But I decided to open it up here, I think. See a little bit of that fat man lasso from Razi, having that foot, just making a little bit of space there. And then again, going back to that, berimbolo situation, Ethan's always trying to open up that knee, get a little further here. She had a bit better knee control than before in the previous 3 or whatever situations that happened before. And as she comes through, she's going to be winning the inside position here. Just going to allow her to stand up and get into some double under situations. So that was a pretty nice sequence there. So we're sort of in a offside headquarters. So Razi stuffed Professor's left foot, and now she's going to slide and dive for that underhook. So we watched Leandro Lowe, who was the guy on top who got swept, and that's sort of what he's known for. But Ethan's able to make her step a little farther, than what she'd like. Usually that's as soon as you get that underhook, you're just like diving your hips, hard. But she has to catch herself with this foot, which puts her a little bit too far around to stop the spin underneath. And as soon as he's able to tuck that knee underneath the legs, then he's back in a really good position to come up on top. And there's a little bit of a hand fight. You're going to see Ethan win this one right there. Like he had, just a, sometimes you guys don't see the hand fight with black belts very often. So right now, Razi has one hand on the pant, and he has one hand on the pant and one hand on the lapel, sort of a low lapel grip there. She switches to a tricep grip, and then he's going to move and get that second hand on the pant. So now he's got two hands on the pant. So anytime there's a reasonable skilled level between two people, if you have both hands on the person's pants, you're in a pretty huge advantage. So now he's able to move around, and it's going to be hard. She counters with a little bit of the foot inside, but that's That's tough. That's not ideal there. You know, she's working to get grips. You know, he's putting a lot of pressure on, and that's just something you see a lot. Like you give up both pants, and then it takes you 30 seconds before you're able to recover and make a good guard. So again, you guys see that knee turnout versus the hips on the mat situation. And so he's looking pretty safe there, and then is able to slide out and get to basically like a weave position. See him using that head to control the leg, and then now he's switching sides on that to get the pass. So I think that's it. So thanks to Professors Razi and Ethan for putting that together and being able to do some match analysis for it. So a lot of fun.